welcome to another edition of SeahawkTalk. I'm Ed Habashore. It is Tuesday, April 28th. It is tough to keep track of days these days. We all know that. We've got a great lineup for you today. From our athletics office, it's going to be Dawn Hahn. She'll be followed by Ethan Robson, Pat Leary, Chris Sheehan, Adam Zakara, and Matt Hurd. Let's show that up on the screen for everybody. There it is. And you probably can hear in cue that Dawn Hahn's not alone. But before we go to her, let us go to this to introduce her. How about that? Our club sports coordinator, and now she's on screen with her grandson, Kai. Welcome, Dawn.
What's up, Bo? Say hi, Kai. Say hi.
Hello, Kai. How are you? Love the shirt.
Salve Pride.
Yeah, Seahawks.
Woohoo!
So how are you doing, Dawn?
Oh, we're doing well. Doing the best that we can in this situation. Been watching the grandkids a lot. And just trying to juggle them. Dogs, a move.
They are a handful.
Yes, they are.
Well, the opening clip we just showed illustrated your involvement and your connection with our club sports, most notably men's and women's rugby. And
Yes.
what would have happened this past weekend, but didn't because of the pandemic, was a trip to the national championships for South Virginia men's rugby. Talk about your work with them.
They would have been traveling to St. Mary's College, and I think it's Moraga, California, for the Final Fours for their national championships. Both men and women's team have been very successful over the last handful of years. Well, always really. But really more notably, I should say, over the past few years with our women's team doing nationals last year, or 2018, sorry, and then this year with our men's rugby team. Great bunch of kids. I love them all like they're my own. I miss everybody terribly.
You actually had a chance to travel with the team once, twice? Where have you been with the Seahawk rugby squads?
All over Ireland.
Wow.
Yeah. The first time we went was with men's rugby, and some of the women's team went with us. That was with Ronan Higgerty, the men's coach. And I believe that was several years ago. And I believe that we went to Shannon and, what is our sister city over there?
Ooh, good question. I think I see it on the sign when we roll into Newport, but I don't know it for sure.
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
We'll Google it.
Yeah, we can Google it. And then the last time I went was with the women's team, and we went to Dublin and Galway, and it was a wonderful experience. Went to the Cliffs of Moher, so it was nice to be on the other side, just to be a visitor and to see all the sites, because I've never been over there. So I would love to go back again.
Right, a first time for you, and you got to witness it yourself, but also enjoy how the student athletes experienced it as well.
The student athletes, that experience for them was unbelievable. The kinship, the sisterhood, the brotherhood, everybody just embraces everybody like family. I remember going out for dinner one time and meeting up with the other teams, and it was just, like we've known each other forever. We had a couple of gentlemen singing, the Irish tunes, and is it the jig, whatever, and we were all dancing and we were all sharing, and it was just wonderful. And it was really sad to leave them when we left. and they always say, "Oh, we need to go back. We need to go back. We need to go back." Rugby is a different beast. It really is. It just, I mean, and all the varsity kids, they all have camaraderie as well too. But with the rugby teams, it's just a little different because they get to travel out of the country and things like that. So
yeah, it sounds like they made some nice connections over there.
we did, and with the men's coach being from Ireland,
Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier for us to go to Ireland because he has so many connections there.
In addition to being our office coordinator, club sports coordinator, you also are the head coach of the cheerleading squad.
I am. My girls are they're putting something together, so I'm hopefully we'll get that to you, a little cheer and some positive messaging for, this craziness that we're living in right now for hopefully not too much longer.
Does it involve TikTok?
It does.
How familiar are you with that platform?
What's that?
How familiar are you with that platform?
I'm not. I've seen videos, more so from like the rugby team on how they have like their little wars and stuff, all in fun. And so I had I'm keeping in contact with the cheer team, and I asked them if they would be interested in doing something like that because it would be fun, so they're doing it. They're excited to do it. Not everybody had brought their uniforms home because they just left. So some of them are in their uniform. Others are in just their Salve sweatshirt or a t-shirt. Some may just have their bow, but it's all positive, all positive to come together and do something.
What song would they like to dub over on that TikTok?
I don't even know the song, but once they send it to me, I'm going to send it to you to I don't know what song it is. I'm just like, girls.
Well, I'm wondering, since we have some footage from 4 years ago, and if it were to the tune of Creed's You Will Soar, you would actually be able to appear in that video, right?
Yes.
We're showing it now, Dawn Hahn, as you graced our green screen with a lip sync version, I believe, to You Will Soar. Yeah. And we really enjoyed showing that in our year-end video as well. While you weren't there in person at the year-end award ceremony, you were there in spirit, and we showcased your singing along to that song because I really appreciated you suggesting that as a song to really have positive motivation for our year-end video.
Thank you. I enjoy that song. For those of us our age that know who Creed are, it's actually my son's first concert.
Woo! Which son?
Alec.
So you're youngest.
Yes.
We've been blessed to have you in athletics since the late 90s, and we've actually witnessed your family grow up within Salve. All three children, Tyler, Alicia, and Alec, have attended Salve at some point in their lives. Where are they now?
Well, Alicia actually married a 2011 grad from Salve, Dave Guerrero. They're married. He's the canine officer in Middletown, Rhode Island. They live in Portsmouth, and they have two sons, Louis and Cal, sorry. Too many C's.
I know.
And then Taylor, he's a police officer in Portsmouth, Rhode Island, and he has a son, Kai, the one that I'm babysitting today. And then Alec, he just finished boot camp, and his graduation day was April 16th, and family day was the 15th. And unfortunately, like the rest of the country, we unfortunately had to miss that because of the virus. So we missed the family day, and we also missed his graduation, which is sad. But we were able to watch it via live stream on Facebook, and everybody was doing their 6 feet apart, and nobody in the stands except for the people that needed to be there. And now he was able to go to his next place, which is in Fort Eustis, Virginia. So he'll be there probably until the end of August, maybe even into September. So I'm hoping that this gets lifted and things get back to normal so that we can take a drive and visit.
Yeah, and athletics was also blessed with Alex working with our maintenance staff and helping out throughout the campus, and including athletic facilities.
Yep, the grounds crew doing the lights for Christmas. Yeah.
I know it's a tough time being away from family. You're very fortunate to have your family there. You are so well admired within the department, from our long-standing coaches, our brand new coaches that come on board. You help onboard them as well. And from a gentleman who's been with W80K for the longest time as well. I spoke with him yesterday, trying to stay in touch and see how he's doing. He sends along his well wishes to you. That's Bob Angel from W80K, 1540 AM. I wanted to surprise you and bring him in because he tabbed you with the moniker Ms. Essential. And that's how we feel about you. You are so essential to the Department of Athletics within South Virginia University. And not only do we know it inside, but people like Bob Angel know it outside.
Wow. That just makes me want to cry. I appreciate that. And when I see him, I call him Mr. Essential too.
That he is.
That was a sweet little name that he gave me. We know the little inside joke about that, though.
Oh yeah, and he has been so essential to the coverage of South Virginia athletics over the years too. We've been so fortunate to have him in our backyard. The Newport Daily News as well. We've had terrific coverage from our local media, and I've benefited from it as well because we invite them in to have noontime hoops on our court at Rogers Recreation Center, and what a treat it is when Scott Barrett and back in the day Josh Krieger would join him when he was still with the Daily News, and just a lot of fun to not only cover sports but participate in sports with each other.
Yeah, that's fun. I remember, now that I'm downstairs and I can see everybody that comes in, I'm not always familiar with faces from our outside vendors sometimes. I know to talk on the phone and, coming in, I'll be like, okay, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? And but once I'm told, oh, that's so-and-so from the Daily News, I'm like, okay, because I really got to keep that Seahawk eye.
Yes.
Better and out of the building. So.
Better than the eagle eye.
That's right. In my little nest downstairs.
Well, it's great catching up with you. We miss seeing you in the office because we don't go in the office as well, but we can't wait for the day when we step back into that office and you're the first person we see, as well as Kai, and who knows how old he'll be by then.
I know. I miss everybody, and I miss being there and seeing all the kids and the staff and faculty and those that just pop in to say hello because they just want to talk, and I miss that. I miss that a lot.
As do they. So we can't wait for that day when we all return. Hi, Kai. Thanks for joining us on Seahawk Talk today.
Hey, thank you.
Great to see you.
Oh, he just blew you a kiss.
Oh.
He did.
There you go, Kai.
Kisses and virtual hugs.
Awesome. Well, bye. You are the hit of the show.
Thanks, Ed.
That's Dawn Hahn and her grandson Kai joining us on Seahawk Talk. First segment at 3 o'clock on Tuesday, April 28th. I'm Ed Habishaw. We'll be right back with our men's lacrosse captains.
Robson fights his way down the right side. In behind the net, gets it away to Pat Leary. Onto the wing to Heater. 15 seconds on the shot clock. Joe Grimm at the point. Threads the needle. Leary, underhanded shot, and he scores! Somehow, Pat Leary snuck that one in. And the Seahawks have the lead.
That's Pat Leary scoring the game-winning goal for Salve Virginia University men's lacrosse on Wednesday, March 11 against St. Joseph's College, a 9-8 final. Ethan Robson was involved in that play. We have all three captains on the show right now, Chris Sheehan, Ethan Robson, and Pat Leary. Let's go to our Zoom window and show all three gentlemen. Welcome, Ethan, Pat, and Chris.
How's it going?
Very good. How are you guys doing?
Hello. Hanging in there. Doing good. Just staying safe during this time and trying to stay as active as possible.
Just getting some nice rays out here today.
Nice. That's the weather in Lincoln, Rhode Island, right, Ethan?
Yeah, not too bad up here.
Loving it. Gentlemen, all three of you are captains. And back in, I think, October 11, October 22, and then later on in December 11, we had our first ever captain's councils. All three of you were invited. The first one included commentary from Jody Moradian and our new president, Dr. Kelly Armstrong. We'll show that up on the screen right now. And the second one featured one of your assistant coaches, Jeff Farrar, hosting us at the White Horse Tavern just down the road in Newport, and as well as a conversation with Todd Martin. And Ethan, I remember you had the best seat in the room because you were right at the corner with Todd Martin. Tell us about the conversations that you were able to have with the director of the Tennis Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so it was a pleasure for sure. He's a great guy. Learned that right off the bat. Coming into it, they didn't really tell us much, so I didn't know who I was sitting next to at the beginning. So I kind of asked him, I was like, hey, they invited you here. You must be someone important. Who are you? And he went into what he did, how he's the director, and how he's a professional golfer for some time. So it was cool hanging out with the pro and just hearing what he had to say about athletics, his time in Newport, all that kind of stuff. So it was great sitting next to him.
Yeah, and he plays an individual sport. Gentlemen, you play a team sport. But talk about the similarities that you can draw from him in terms of what he was sharing with the audience that night.
I think something that definitely I learned from him was the dedication you have to show to your craft, and how you have to be willing to work hard in order to succeed. And I think we apply it to our sport, making sure everyone on the team stays on top of everything. And that's kind of what I got from it.
Loving that, Chris.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with Chris on that one. He addressed the fact that he was involved in an individual sport, but just how to transition that same mentality over and apply it to the team. And I think we're working our best at doing that this year. So
you guys were off to an outstanding start. Such a disappointment to see it end. Tell me how you guys felt going into the season in terms of you went right after it, a 4-0 start in February, took a loss before finishing with the win against St. Joseph's.
I guess I'll take this one. I think a lot of it had to do with the off season, and going into the off season, you usually get a pretty good idea, an indication of how things are going to go. And this off season went pretty well, I'd like to say. And it just seemed like it was a lot of excitement and a lot of enthusiasm going towards the season from everyone. So I think that had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, off Pat's point, last season we didn't do as well as we wanted to. So a lot of guys came to the season very hungry, and then we brought in a very good freshman class. So I think it all just kind of gelled together, and we got off to a great start.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing as Chris. Our freshman class came in, and they were the glue to our team this year. So they filled in a lot of key pieces for us. And then our returners, we were hungry. We had been there before, and we had tasted loss, and we wanted to taste victory. So we came in hungry this year.
Ethan, as the longest member on the team and a senior captain, we've seen in the CCC and and Western New England being the dominant teams. How close were we getting to closing that gap and getting right up there with the big boys?
From what I've seen, our freshman year, we kind of were not in the picture, and it was kind of like a game that we were looking forward to, just to try our best and like see what we could do against them. But now in the past recent 2 years, it's been really like we can take this team for sure. Both of them. I think last year we had 1 goal game going into the fourth with both teams. So we're right there. We're right in the picture, and we just keep getting better. From my freshman year to my senior year last year, I mean, this team has come a long way. So we're in a good spot.
Has there been any consideration to what you are doing next year?
Yeah, so I'm waiting to hear back. I just applied to the MBA program, so hopefully I can get in, do a 5th year, and then hold out my career here, as they gave the NCAA so gracious to give us another year of eligibility. So we'll see.
That's great. Continuing your Seahawk career.
Yep.
Well,
can't leave.
A huge part of the traditions in South Virginia men's lacrosse is the legacies that have been established over the years. One of my first student employees in sports information was Benjamin Kelly in 2004. He arrived on the scene when the Red Sox were knocking off the Yankees in the ALCS. All but Christian can say yay for that. Yeah. But he was followed by his younger brother and then another younger brother. And now, Chris, you can talk about that, because when you arrived as a freshman, you were not just a sibling, the only sibling pair on your team with your older brother Mike, but we had the Heaters, the McCoskies, and the Riders, and who else am I missing?
Oh, man, we had 5 of them that year, right?
5 pairs?
I think so.
Yeah,
it was amazing. I know we did a nice feature story, but Chris, talk about that. And first of all, what drew you to follow Mike to Salve Regina?
Yeah, well, I think coming in with my brother, it was great because I kind of knew like the identity of the team and like kind of knew everyone before I got here. So it was much easier to make relationships with everyone. And I think kind of like the other sets of brothers, we just had great chemistry freshman year because like we all came in knowing each other. But what kind of drew me to Salve is I used to visit a few times a year, and it was just a great atmosphere around the games. And then just the town, I loved it. And that's kind of what drew me to the school.
Awesome. And now, gentlemen, the last several years, you've had the opportunity to vary your home playing field. Which is your favorite? Godet, Topa, or where else?
Topa, hands down.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
I feel like every time we had a huge crowd come out, and it was just, it turned out to be a beautiful day most of the time, too. So it was just perfect.
I was going to ask, what is it about that environment? I know the rock walls that surround it make you feel like you're in a stadium atmosphere.
The fans being right behind the bench, that's a big plus for us. It's also a big negative, too. We were getting distracted in the first early games, so we kind of reined back on that. But once we figured it out, like having them right there in the action is great. It's great for enthusiasm, translates right onto the field. So it pumps us up to go out there every shift and give it all for our classmates.
So the fans are close enough to hear the on-field chatter?
Yeah, they hear everything.
And it's all positive, right?
Yeah, it's all good stuff.
That's good to hear. Well, wherever you play, we hope it's in a Seahawk uniform, especially for you, Ethan, next year. But there is lacrosse after college. So have any of you thought about that? You know, not putting the stick down, but continuing playing once your college days are over?
Yeah, I definitely want to keep up with it. I don't know, like, obviously not professionally or anything, but I definitely want to stay involved in the sport, do as much tournaments as I can, but probably get a job right after college and focus on my career.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely in the same boat as Chris on that one. I mean, I've definitely heard some jokes about playing after, or like with some guys from Division III try their best to go play professionally. But I think I'm in the same shoes as Chris. Probably just look for work after school.
Yeah, I'm a little different because I play another kind of lacrosse. It's indoor lacrosse, box lacrosse, and so the field lacrosse, a new league has just sparked, and it's like really growing, and it's very hard to make some of those field teams. But indoor lacrosse is still up and coming, and there's some good professional lacrosse teams that are indoor. But I think I would have much better luck trying out for one of them. So I might try my luck after school. Yeah.
Well, wish you a lot of luck, not only with lacrosse, but in the final week of your academic schedule. I know it's online. It's not the best, but hopefully you're making the best of it. Good seeing you on today's segment of Seahawk Talk, and hope to have you back on campus anytime soon.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
So much.
Thank you, Ethan. Thank you, Pat. That's our three captains from South Virginia men's lacrosse joining us on Seahawk Talk on Tuesday, April 28th. We'll take a short break and be back with our men's and women's tennis head coach, Adam Zakara. Stick with us. Hello and welcome back to Seahawk Talk. I'm Ed Habishaw. Let me get some graphics up here to tell you that it's Seahawk Talk. There we go. And we've just finished our first two segments today on Tuesday, April 28th. We're ready for a third segment. It's with a person who coaches two sports, men's and women's tennis. Let's run out to...
One sport, two teams.
One sport, two teams. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
We'll head out
you would do that to me. So.
We'll head out to Cary Mansion right now and join Adam Zakara, head coach of men's and women's tennis. Hello, Adam. How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you?
Very good. Where are you right now?
Good.
Is it Cary Mansion?
I'm sitting on one of the courts. I thought it would be nice to broadcast live from outside today.
Really appreciate that. It's good to see blue sunny sky behind you in the background, and also a portion of a net over your right shoulder.
That's all you see? Can you see more now?
Oh, now you made it worse. You tilted the camera.
Oh,
there we go.
okay.
Now we can see more. So you're practicing social distancing, correct?
Yes.
Excellent. How are things going with you, tennis-wise?
Really well. It's just the weather's been awful. Today's so nice, but every nice chance I get, this is where I am.
Well, my wife and I were fortunate to be down there on Saturday, and we got to stop by Cary Mansion and see you on the courts. It looked like you had some good activity going. People were getting some exercise and enjoying the beautiful day weather-wise.
Yeah, it's been a lot of families coming out here in very small groups to come out, about 2 or 3 people at a time. Right now, I don't know if you can see behind me, but I've got the head pro and 2 other pros from the Tennis Hall of Fame just hitting the ball around. The hall's shut down right now, so for them, this has been a great outlet to come and able to hit here. So they text me in the morning and see if it's okay. And
yeah, and you said
accommodate.
You said they're bringing some camera equipment and doing some recording.
Yeah. I'll give him some definite props. Ryan Harry. If you go on Ryan Harry Tennis, it's a YouTube site. Every day he's posting new. It's very inspiring for me as a coach. He's a new stroke technique, a doubles technique, serving technique. And he's been doing them live on the courts here too, which is good.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Tell us what you're learning from him.
He and I, it's been great getting to know him better during this downtime because he's not as busy over there. But what a great resource it is to have the internet, right? And I know you use it often, but just YouTube videos. There's so many tennis drills out there, which is great about our sport. And I like to keep it really lively for people and active all the time. So if someone's going to take lessons from me all summer long, I want it to be a progression of things that they're learning, but where they're not going to get stagnant or dull. Like, hey, Adam, we do the same service thing every week, So I do, to get to your question, I've definitely learned from him, but he echoes my thoughts as well, that it's all kind of stuff that we borrow from each other and use, and YouTube's a great source for that.
It really is. I mean, there's no need to reinvent the wheel when the wheel's been out there, and you can just consult many legends in the sport for decades back. Even if they didn't produce a YouTube video, their content is out there. I've got a library full of tennis books and drills and so forth, and I'm never ashamed to borrow from somebody else, because imitation is the highest form of flattery.
Right.
Adam, when you were growing up, who would you pattern your game after? Who was somebody that you admired and you say, you know what, I'd like to develop my strokes similar to this player?
That's a cool question, because I had a little group of favorites. I really did, but my group gravitated around the more mellow type of guys, ones that didn't have these outbursts on television. And back in the 80s through the 90s, there was McEnroe and Connors and Ely Nastase and some pretty loud characters. My favorites were the Swedes and the people up there, the Scandinavian countries. There was a guy that no one really ever talks about. His name is Joachim Nystrom. That was one of my favorites. He probably made it to like maybe 5 in the world at one point around Mats Wielander's time.
Yeah. And
Stefan Edberg.
Absolutely, Stefan Edberg. When you were talking about that, and I can see a lot of his game in your style as well. Solid
he had a great neck game.
Yeah.
Liked to serve and volley. I love to do that, and definitely was inspired by him. My favorite player, which a lot of people don't choose, but I loved him, was Ivan Lendl. And I loved watching his ground strokes were so textbook, and he was this quirky, weird guy. Like, he had sawdust in his pocket. I don't know if you knew this.
It's a drying agent.
Serving, and instead of the turner grip for the sweat on his hand, they used to have to come out at the U.S. Open and sweep the baseline after every time he served. After every service game. And another weird thing he would do, this sounds crazy, but when he would get really stressed and want to concentrate on a point, he would pull out one of his eyelashes.
Ooh.
I know.
You don't do that, do you?
No, he was just this really intense, strange guy, quirky, I shouldn't say strange, eccentric. and he also ended up residing in Connecticut, not far from me, and was a really good golfer. And
I was going to say, he was not a fan of Wimbledon in the grass courts at Wimbledon, but he was a fan of grass on the golf course.
Yeah, this is true. I never got to meet him, but a lot of people in my area from Connecticut had played golf with him and knew him. But this is after he was already my favorite.
Yeah, and he's probably still a strong golfer and still a strong tennis player because it's a sport. Both sports are sports you can play for a long time. And like you have said before, your game gets better as you get older and wiser. You get more mature on the court, and you can handle the ups and downs that come with the sport, whether it be golf or tennis. Hey, Adam, I don't know if we talked 2 weeks ago. I know I received a text from you, but I don't know if we discussed it on air as far as when you heard Eric Sorella's appearance on Seahawk Talk. Monday Friar.
You asked me on air. We definitely covered that.
Okay, because
I threw a challenge out there that I'd love to play him and with Matt, of course, too.
Did you make the connection directly to Eric?
What's that?
Did you make the connection directly to Eric?
I haven't, but like the next day or the day after, he did the same thing that you and Lynn did. He came and walked by here with his wife or girlfriend.
Oh, nice!
Came into the gate and said hi to me. It was really nice, and he was happy to see what was going on here, so it was good. That's
great. Well, it's a nice location you have there. Unbelievable. My wife was just blown away when I walked her around into the backyard, as we call it, and she goes, "Are you kidding me? The tree with the 3 swings hanging on it, that is one unique tree."
Well, for me, the location being right on Salve's campus and having 3 tennis courts that I could literally just walk out my front door, and now having this connection as a head coach at Salve, I'm in paradise right now as a tennis guy. I just love it.
Yeah, and you had your first women's practice back in the fall or August on those same courts, and it was so convenient to go to because the courts were being
they were starting to fill the cracks at Salve. Yes. Yeah, it's nice to have this here, and the owner of the property's been really gracious with us using it, and she said, the kids can come out here and hit, so as long as they contact me, but I encourage them if someone that lives in the Pell Center here or Stone Acre or Wallace, one of these dorms, if they want to hit in between classes and it's convenient, that's the kind of culture I want to create here with these guys.
Absolutely.
Girls. Yeah.
You want to grow the sport, and you're doing a terrific job with it, with your own teams, but also in the community as well. So hats off to you, Mr. Zakara.
Thank you. Something I love doing, so thanks.
Yeah, and I really want to thank you for offering Owen Curtin to join the show last week. He was a terrific guest in your place last Tuesday. It was great catching up with him and seeing him in his setting as he's recovering from his shoulder surgery, and hopefully will soon be back to work, not only in his job as an airline pilot, but also getting back out on the tennis courts too.
Yeah, he's a great guy. They've been so supportive of the fact that I'm back involved here. Now they all want to get involved, which is great. I've gotten texts from guys saying, "Hey, when's our next alumni match?" And Mike Lombardi just texted me the other day. He's, as you know, he's lining up to be on one of these Seahawk talks, but
love to have
can't wait to come back up here and play again. So we'll do that alumni match every year, and I expect all years a lot of different people to start coming back.
Would love to have Mike Lombardi come on and join me on the show, especially since with all my technical gaffes, he can rescue me.
What's that?
I said, with all my technical gaffes surrounding the show as a producer during the show and the host, he can rescue me.
Yes. I was hoping he could make it today. He'll tell you he's involved in a movie right now, which is great. He's
great.
Actually he's busy right now. I don't know how they're doing it with social spacing. I think they're in the editing process.
True.
But it's just great that he's still busy.
Well, great catching up with you out on the courts at Cary Mansion. You're looking good as always. And
we'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
That's Adam Zakara, men's and women's tennis coach for Salve Virginia University. I'm Ed Habershaw. We'll take a quick break and be joined by Matt Hurd, who already has taken Adam Zakara's place in Q. Believe me, there he is. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Seahawk Talk for our fourth and final segment on Tuesday, April 28th. We're joined by our women's track and field head coach and our equipment manager. He's also essential, just like our leadoff guest, Dawn Hahn. Let's go right to Matthew Hurd. Hello, Coach Hurd. How are you?
As always, I am terrific.
Good to see you. You have a couple of topics in mind that you want to talk about, highlighting again. Maybe not record breakers, but people that really had standout performances in their events. Who do you want to start off with first?
Well, first I'd like to start off with Raquel Pouliot. As you say, she's not she runs the 800 meters. It's not an 800 meter school record holder, although she does hold the Commonwealth Coast Conference record in the 800 meters. Our school record in the 800 is otherworldly. It was recorded about 35 years ago by a graduate who ran 2 minutes, 6.9 seconds.
Wow.
Which back in the day was good enough to qualify for the U.S. Olympic trials. She did have the advantage of being 30 years old when she did it, and that's right in the wheelhouse of when you're coming to your peak and you've got about maybe 8 more years of training than you do when you're in college. So I'd like to think that in the real world, Raquel is right up there with the record holders. When she came in as a freshman, I got to tell you, you know Raquel.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you will agree that Raquel is just full of joy. I mean, that she just breathes joy. She sweats joy. She's always laughing. She's always got a smile on her face. She's just, as she would say, she is full of God. And the great thing about her is that she just trusts coaches. So if I say, Raquel, let's try this. Okay, coach. She will. She's like a 400, 800 meter runner, so her training is sort of speed based. Whereas if you're an 800, 1500 meter runner, your training is more distance based. So she quite often would be doing workouts alone. And I got to tell you, it didn't matter what they were. It could be 12 at night, and she'd still be grinding those things out, and the results prove it. I mean, the results really are there for her. And that's one of the great things about track and field is that all the athletes know you're the only one who's ultimately responsible for your performance. If it's not you, it's not nobody. The coach can give you ideas or tell you what to do, but if you don't carry them out, then, you're toast. So one of the things that we talked about with Raquel was trying to stay tall, because when she would run, she would have some forward lean. And if you think of your hips as an axis, if the top part of your body is leaning forward, and the bottom part of your body is trailing out behind. And that's where the legs are. And you don't want them out behind. So we tried to see if she could straighten up, run tall, as we say, which brings the legs underneath and gets them in a much better and much more efficient position. And it's difficult. It really is difficult to get somebody to change the way they run because it's so natural.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to think about that. You can think about other things when you run, like when she's playing soccer, where to be, where does the ball go, stuff like that. You don't want to be thinking about running or form or gait. But all I had to do was say, Raquel won tall, and bang, she'd straighten right up and looked just so much better. So she started out in, I think it's a sophomore or junior, one of the two, I don't know. And we're working on this. And every single meet, she got better. She started out with a 2 minutes and 30 seconds, which, is not bad. It's an opener, But every single meet, she went 2:30, 2:28, 2:26, 2:22. And, when you just keep getting better every time you go, first of all, the coach says, boy, am I a genius. But secondly, it just gives you the idea that, shucks, every time I go out, I should be better. And as we all know, Ed, the positive point of view, keeping your mind, as they Southern Martin said in Cool Hand You, getting your mind right. Yes, that's
a movie reference from Matt Hurd.
Yeah, knowing how many movies I've seen in my life.
Classics, though. Always a classic.
Yeah, indeed. I don't mess around. She just went into the conference meet saying, okay, let's go. And the field was tight. I mean, sometimes our conference meets a little strung out, but this one had 2 in the 21s, 2 in the 22s, and 1 in the 23s. So there's 5 people right there. It was a real hammer and tong battle. And she's coming around the last turn off the top of the straight. She's got 300 meters to go. And I yelled, I said, run tall. And she was close to there. But anyway, she straightened up, and boy, she just put the hammer down. I got to tell you, she flew, absolutely flew, past 2 people. And she finished with a meet record and a conference championship.
Matt, that is awesome.
Yes, I tell you, as I say, Raquel, I know Raquel.
Yeah.
And she is just so much fun. She's such a good person. She's a nurse. She's out there, giving to people, which is how she rolls. And it's just so great to see good things happen to really good people.
I'm glad Andrew Pizzelli put together a nice photo package of Raquel, which includes the last image of you and her embracing after a great performance by her at the CCC meet. When you mentioned Strother Martin and Cool Hand Luke, I was already trying to get another reference to a musical reference that I'd like to bring up from a 70s song. Guess who? Well, not Guess Who.
No.
It's Burton Cummings, formerly of the Guess Who, with his hit, probably a one-hit wonder for him, Stand Tall. Does that song ring a bell?
Well, I gotta say, I'm probably as good with pop music as I am with movies.
With movie references. All right.
I think if I heard more of it, I probably would remember.
All right. I'll try to YouTube it and send you a link.
All right.
So on to another runner who goes a greater distance. I think, how many more times around the track does this runner go?
23. So Alex DeMeo is our school record holder in the 10,000 meters. You go from 800 to 10,000. 10,000 meters is 25 laps of the track, 6.25 miles of going around in circles. And all I can say is, some might consider it.
You're saying Billy Preston right now. You're saying Billy Preston. When they go around in circles.
Yeah, well, that's even less familiar than the other one. But, I would consider maybe even unconstitutional as cruel and unusual punishment. But there are some people, like Alex DeMeo, for whom it is right up her alley. Alex is a very analytical person.
She's calling you right now.
She is a very analytical person. And something that you can break down like 6 miles, break it down into pieces and gauge your pace and doing all kinds of, I would say, very mechanical types of race strategy. As I say, right down her alley. In fact, after this race we're going to talk about, I looked and she had all of her splits just written right up her arm.
Oh.
So she knew every single lap. If she's on pace, this is the split, this is the split, this is the split. She had room for 24 of them. So she ran a 39:08 at first meet of the season at Bridgewater, and that was a good meet because 10,000 meter races, you got to pick them because it's not a race that people run often. You can't run very many, usually no more than 2 in a season because they are so demanding. And the Bridgewater race was a good one because it has some 1s and 2s as well as Division 3s in there, and she ran the 39:08, and at that time broke the school record. And so that was in the middle of March, and she's got, months to recover for that one.
Oh, yeah.
So, but that had qualified her for the New England Championships. So she went out. We went out to Williamstown, to Williams College, and they had a beautiful place, brand new track. They were really looking forward to hosting the Division III Nationals. Unfortunately, all they have are a couple of little hotels, so there's not enough room for them. So I don't know. Plus, not a lot of seating. But anyway, it's a great track, great atmosphere. And as the race went off, Alex was right in the mix. And there were 3 runners from MIT. And the MIT cross-country team, I didn't have time to look up, where they finished in cross country in that year, but they were in the top 5. So we had a whole.
Wait a minute. What do you mean you didn't have time? You had 10,000 meters worth.
Thank you very much, Ed. One of my go-to resources has been taken off the internet because apparently it's technologically backward.
Okay.
So I'd have to figure out some other way to get the information, but. and the eventual winner of the race was from MIT and was a 2-time cross country All-American. So this is not a slouch field by any stretch of the imagination. And she gets on the line, the gun goes off, and she just gets out there lap after lap after lap. I guess she's checking her arm to make sure whether she's on target or not, and she is. It's just like a machine, just cranking off these laps. And there are 2 of these MIT runners who just sit behind her. Whoops, it's
4 p.m.
Sorry about that again, Ed. 2 of these MIT runners just sitting on her, which means that they're letting her do all the work. Yeah. They're letting her set the pace. All they have to do is go in cruise control.
They trusted her, though. They trusted her.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've had 4 miles up to that point to learn how she runs. And then the idea is, okay, at some point, we'll just go and we'll leave her. That's the idea anyway. But Alex, she didn't fade. She just keeps right on going. And the pace became too much for one of them. So she dropped that one. And then the other one started to get a little itchy. And she went ahead of Alex, tried to open up a gap. And Alex just didn't panic. She just went right after her, caught up, and then just went blowing by her like an express train. Opened up a gap and just kept opening it. And you can just see, when you're really going hard and things are working well, you just kind of lift off the track. Your feet are bang, 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 bang. It's not like they hit and they roll and they hit and they roll. She finished up with a 38:20. So she was something like 40 seconds quicker than her former school record.
She beat herself.
And she finished 4th in the meet against the best runners in New England.
Absolutely.
And some of these runners, are runners that D1s and D2s would die for, and All-Americans. And she finished 4th. So it was all New England. And again, I think Jen McGinnis, our track and field photographer, has a picture of Alex and the scoreboard behind her, with the Mayo and the time and the place somewhere.
Terrific
I don't know
image.
I don't know how to find these things.
It was a terrific image, and it was something that we used to showcase her as an all New England performer for that event that year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so again, it's so rewarding to have somebody work that hard to get good. She takes it on herself. Nobody's going to tell me. Coach can tell me to do this, but I'm going to do this. Nobody, I don't give anybody responsibility for what I do and what I get but myself. And it works out, and she's tremendous. She's a special ed major, and she went into special ed because her brother has developmental issues, and she said, this is a field which I want to get into in order to help people like my brother. So she's terrific.
She absolutely is. Like Raquel, she's helping out others, including coming back this past year after graduating and serving as an assistant coach with our men's and women's cross-country programs and Coach Rob McGinnis and Casey Gallo.
Absolutely. And Alex, I think, was a designated person for the 6 a.m. runs.
Ooh. She looks forward to those, right?
I'm sure she does.
Now, does she stand tall?
Alex?
Yes.
Not so much.
Not in the 10,000 meters, right?
Let me put it this way. She stands tall as an athlete, and as a performer.
Yes.
I might want to put my arm around her and give her some suggestions, but she's not my athlete. She's a distance runner, so that's good and all.
Well, great having you on today's show with SeahawkTalk, Matt. Really appreciate you giving us some insight into great performances in our women's track and field history.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next week.
Indeed you will.
That's Matt Hurd. Women's track and field. I was going to say men's and women's track and field. We're not there yet, but maybe someday We will get there. Right, Matt?
Maybe.
All right. What a great day. Thanks for joining us. Dawn Hahn, Ethan Robson, Pat Leary, Chris Sheehan, and Adam Zakara, along with Matt Hurd. My name's Ed Habshaw. Stay safe, stay home, keep your distance, and see you tomorrow.